I wasted about 10 years of my life over something that didn't even matter. And I know it sounds dramatic, but the more I think about it, the more accurate that statement feels. For a long time, as a kid, like most kids, I wanted to make gaming videos. It wasn't just a random idea that came to me and left. It was something I was passionate about for multiple years. I'd be playing something with my friends, and deep down in the back of my head, I would always think, dang, it would be amazing if I could record this right now. Or I'd randomly come up with an idea and I just imagine how I would make it and what edits I would make without actually making the edits because I was scared. I thought about it so much for years, like I said, but I never really acted on it properly. And the reason for all that regret was simple. I was worried about what people in my life would think. Friends, family, people from school, basically anyone. I kept picturing them stumbling across my video somehow, whether I told them or whether they just found it somehow, and just judging me for it. Thinking it was weird that I was putting myself out there like that. Which I know kind of sounds silly because the whole saying, put yourself out there, is kind of a good thing, but as a kid, I just thought I would be judged. At the time, the judgment felt like a huge deal. Even the idea of someone casually bringing it up just made me cringe. It made me uncomfortable, and just the thought of that made me not take any action. So instead of just starting, I kept delaying. I kept telling myself that now's not the time and the perfect moment will come. Well, it'd been 13 years and it never came. I'd convince myself and say things like I needed better equipment or I should wait until I have a stronger idea for a channel. Sometimes I'd get so close I'd set up the channel, the profile picture, the channel banner and everything, but I'd never hit record. The reasons sounded logical back then, but I'm realizing now they were just ways that I could justify avoiding actually starting. The real reason was that I didn't want to feel judged. And the sad part of that fear is that it lingers and it only gets stronger as the years go by. You get used to putting things off and becomes justifiable and eventually becomes normal. If you're uncomfortable doing something, then just don't do it. Like eventually somehow it would lead to a moment where I felt like it was the right moment and I would just start. It took me a long time to realize something that sounds so obvious now, and that's things don't just line up like that. There's always going to be something going on. Life is never going to give you a perfect window for you to actually start, regardless of what it is. There's always going to be something that you could point at to say, now's not the best time. And to be fair, I know those reasons are real because I've had those reasons and they are real, but it's just something that I've learned to go past. That even with those valid reasons, you need to push past them and just do the thing that you want to do. Anyways, that's what happened to me. I kept putting it off and nothing came from it except for a lot of regret. The few times when I was younger, the few times that I did force myself to upload things, I would always upload and wait to see what happened, and nothing happened. People never suddenly treated me differently or made a big deal out of it. And the few reactions I did actually get were all positive and encouraging. The reality of every time I did upload never matched what I was thinking in my head, and yet somehow I was still telling myself that I would be judged. Make that make sense. I'd spend years, literally years, assuming that people would care and they would judge me for what I was posting or for the way I sounded, but nobody cares. And when you really think about it, it makes sense. Most people are focused on their own lives. Most people are dealing with their own problems, their own plans, and their own insecurities. Mine was the fear of being judged. Theirs might have been something else. But so they don't care about what I'm worried about. They don't care about anything going on in my life. And even if for whatever reason the thought of me does cross their mind, it passes very quickly. The thing that never passed very quickly was the time I lost. That's the part I really feel now. It's been 10 years and I have so much regret. It's actually become my biggest fear, and it was the catalyst for me to start this channel. It was a way for me to actually start and for me to say, I'm not going to let this cycle happen again, not another year. And so the only thing driving me right now is discipline, yes, but also, if I'm going to be honest, fear. Fearful of regret. Fearful of another 10 years going by and me looking back and thinking, what if? What if I actually did start that channel? Well, I'm not going to have that what if anymore because I'm doing it. Because now, when I look back 10 years from now, even with those gaming videos, whether I did do something with it or not, I would have learned so much, man. I would have improved. I would have figured things out as I went, watched YouTube videos on the things I didn't understand, spent a lot of time learning and even making this channel a lot easier. I would have had so much more knowledge than I do now. And that's why that realization alone is what gave me my greatest fear. which is regret. At some point, I had to be honest with myself. So I'm finally starting. And if I'm going to be completely honest, the thing that makes me happiest isn't even seeing my subscribers or views go up. It's the satisfaction of knowing that I'm not going to regret this in the future. And that's crazy to me. I never thought that being fearful of something and kind of being scared of something not happening and being reassured that it won't happen is actually the thing that is making me the happiest, if that makes sense. Even now, I'm still figuring things out and I'm not exactly where I want to be and at the end point that I want to be, but I'm so happy knowing that I'm at least going the direction I want to go so I can be where I want to be, right? This is literally me in the middle of my path to progress. And I love the fact that I'm recording it. And something else I realized after starting this channel is that you don't think your way to being ready. When I uploaded my first video, I wasn't ready at all. I still had things I was worried about and things that I wasn't too sure about or wasn't even happy with, to be honest. But the fact that I actually did it rather than delaying it has worked so well because it's made me progress further and faster in my future videos like this one. A mindset that really helped me is that you don't get ready by thinking about it, you get ready by doing it. So if you've been sitting on something and waiting for a while, whether it's making videos or doing pottery or whatever it may be for you, there's probably a reason why you're sitting on it, but I'm telling you, regardless of what that reason is, just start anyway. Believe me, I know it's probably a valid reason. I know you might not have time or whatever the reason may be. Do it anyway. Try to find time. Even 30 minutes a week goes a long way in starting, right? At least you're going the direction you actually want to go. Because if you don't start, time is going to move either way. You never get to pause things until you feel ready. So wouldn't it make sense to be going the direction you want to go in sooner? And also because you're going that direction, you're going to learn things and end up going faster as well. People often chase perfection, but we're taught that perfection isn't really a real thing and you can't be perfect. So a big realization that helped me was that we need to stop chasing perfection and stop putting things off for the perfect moment and start chasing progression and just start doing things so we can be at the goal that we want to be at sooner. If I could go back and say one thing to myself, it would be simple. Nobody cares about what you're doing nearly as much as you think they do. So just start. Not because everything makes sense, but because waiting doesn't make sense either. So at some point, you just have to start and let things figure themselves out. That's really all this is, even this channel. It's just me moving the direction I want to go in and letting things figure itself out. And I couldn't be happier. So yeah, the sooner you realize that nobody actually cares, the sooner you're actually going to make progress.